Oh, well, good morning. Happy Thursday. It's Thursday, December 4th, 2025. We are 21 days from Christmas, which is, I think, 20. Christmas Eve is 3 weeks from tonight. Is Christmas on a Friday this year? I think it is. It must be. Anyway, I hope you got everything ready to go because the next 3 weeks are going to be pandemonium for sure. Well, for some, it's pandemonium. For others, it's probably not. Some people actually get the whole month of December off because they've worked so much overtime that they get the month off. Anyway, then there are some people, and it's been my whole life. Even when I was an engineer, December was always a crazy month. So it's not like, anyway. Thanks for joining me. It is a beautiful morning outside. I think the high I think it's 39 degrees. I didn't go out this morning. It's just so dang cold. Yeah, it's 40 degrees outside right now. Hope you're having a great day. I can't get my watch on. That's weird. Okay. Like, why do you need your watch? Because it tells me the temperature. Doesn't your watch tell you the temperature? 40 degrees. All right. Birthdays. We have no birthdays today, but we have one on Saturday, and that's Emily Grendall. Happy birthday, Emily. And then the next birthdays are next week. So let's close that out. I'm having a bunch of issues. It's kind of the strangest thing, but my mouse goes in and out of working. And so I plugged it into a different port in the computer, and it's still doing the same thing. So I rebooted the computer. It's still doing the same thing. So I think it might be time to get a new mouse. I really, really, really like this mouse. I've had it a long time. We're Twitter pated. But everything, it seems like all the computer stuff always dies after some point. I heard yesterday that the cost of computer memory is increasing dramatically. So if you're planning to buy a computer next year, you might want to buy it at the end of this year at all the sales or maybe at the end of Christmas at the end of all the sales, because apparently memory chips, the memory is going to go up next year dramatically. That's what I'm hearing. All right. Let's see. Where are we? So just kind of some housekeeping stuff. We have some big stuff happening at Christ Lutheran Vale over the weekend. We have our Chris Kindle Market, which is it's a wonderful opportunity that people can come and shop at our bazaar. It's like a bazaar, basically. It's inside and outside. There's entertainment, there's games, there's snow, believe it or not. We found this... it's kind of the stuff that's at the inside of a diaper, but it doesn't absorb. I guess it does. But anyway, it feels and looks like snow. And so kids love to play in it. We have this big, huge playground where the kids play in the snow and pretend they're in the snow, but it's warm. Well, although this weekend it may not be warm. It goes in phases. Sometimes it's warm, sometimes it's really, really cold. But that's going to be on Saturday night. And then Sunday we have a church, and then we have the Christmas tea Sunday evening, and that'll be fun. And the Christmas tea is just a really, really great way to start off the season well. It's the opportunity to focus our mind on the real reason for the season, which is not all the shopping and all the presents and all the hubbub and all the parties. Those things are wonderful, and there's nothing wrong with them. But if you get lost in them to the point where you don't understand the true meaning of Christmas, which is where God becomes flesh and dwells with us, it's just amazing, then you're missing the whole point of it. All right. And we'll celebrate that in 3 weeks from tonight. Oh, goodness, Lord. Oh, why did I say that? Now I'm nervous. It's just always hits. There's always so much to do this time of year. All right. Let's get into our study. We are in Numbers chapter 20. I think there's like 28 chapters in Numbers, so we still have a little bit to go. We might finish it before Christmas. Hopefully we'll finish it before Christmas. The Israelites are wandering in the wilderness, and let's just see what happens. So this is Numbers chapter 20. In the first month, the whole Israelite community arrived at the desert of Zin, and they stayed at Kadesh. There Miriam died and was buried. So they're wandering the first month, the month of Nisan, typically in the spring. They arrive at the desert of Zin, and they stay at Kadesh. There's a lot of Kadeshes in the Middle East. If you remember, Abraham came from Kadesh, but that was Kadesh oasis in Persia, between the Tigris and the Euphrates. There are other Kadeshes. Kadesh is a very popular Semitic word. It means holy. Kadosh, kadosh, kadosh is holy, holy, holy. So Kadesh, kadosh is a holy place, and there's probably lots of holy places. So they ended up in this place, and Miriam died. And that must have been very sad for the Israelite community. She was Moses' sister, and she was the one that saw her mother place Moses in the Nile River and kind of followed Moses. He ended up in the Pharaoh's court, kind of went with Moses out of the Exodus. She's considered to be a prophetess in the Jewish faith. She's one of those listed as a very, very important woman because she was a very important woman. She challenged Moses. She was there for Moses. She was Moses' sister. So you have Moses and Aaron and Miriam. And they were kind of three pinnacles of faith as they moved out of Egypt. And now one of them has passed away in the desert. And so they buried her there, and they moved on. Thank you, Miriam, for all your support of Moses. Yeah. Verse 2. Now there was no water for the community, and the people gathered in opposition to Moses and Aaron. They quarreled with Moses and said, "If only we had died when our brothers fell dead before the Lord. Why did you bring the Lord's community into this wilderness, that we and our livestock should die here? Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to this terrible place? It has no grain or figs, grapevines, or pomegranates, and there's no water to drink." And this is the human condition, the human condition. People are much more comfortable staying where they are, even if they're in slavery, than facing the uncomfortable fact that they might have to make a sacrifice for a little bit in order to find the promised land, something for the future that may not even affect them. They may die before they get to the promised land, but their children and their children's children will be in the promised land. Many, 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 many people can only think of the here and now. They can't project into the future and say, I want to give a better future for my children and my children's children. I want to make an impact in this world by sacrificing my life, basically. I mean, it could die, the lack of water. And of course, it's a land that doesn't have pomegranates. It's a land that doesn't have grapes. It's a land that doesn't have honey. All these things, grapevines, figs, pomegranates, water, it is a sacrifice. If you look at where they're traveling, it's not a pleasant area to travel. And in the summertime, it's really, really hot. Well, and probably in the wintertime, it gets really, really cold too. There's no plants to hold on to the heat or the cold. And so the nights in the winter are brutal, and the days in the summer are probably brutal also. And this is where they are in the promised land, or on their way to the promised land. And the people just they complain. And of course they complain. They're uncomfortable. And it's up to Moses to paint a picture of the promised land, to say, this is where we're going. This is why we couldn't stay in Egypt. I remember Bill Hybels at Willow Creek Church in Chicago used to have this summit called the Global Leadership Summit. And I went to it a bunch of times. For various reasons, I don't go anymore, but because they have satellites in various churches, satellite projections of the summit, and they have these major speakers and things. It's really, really quite an amazing thing. But Bill Hybels said that the job of a leader, like the number one job of a leader, is to say, here is where we are. One, tell the truth. This is where we are. This is the truth of the matter. I'm not sugarcoating the truth. I'm not hiding the truth. This is where we are. And then two is we can't stay here. And here's why we can't stay here. And number three is here's where we're going. And it's going to take a sacrifice to get from here to here. But if we make this sacrifice, this is what the promised land looks like. And he used to draw a chart that would say, here's where we are with a line. And then he'd have a line drawing up and say, here's where we're going. This is why we can't stay here. This is what the journey is going to look like. It's going to be hard, but this is what it's going to end up looking like once we go through that journey. And this is, if you are a leader, that is the picture that you have to paint over and over and over again. Otherwise, you get halfway through the journey and people start to complain because the pain of the journey is more than they can handle. But anybody can handle pain as long as they know there's a reason for the pain and there's a promised land at the end of the pain. People are human beings. They need to be shown what the promised land looks like. This is why you hire an architect. Everybody thinks you hire an architect to draw up the building. But before you even get to the point of drawing up the building, the architect does these sketches of these views of what the building is going to look like in different angles and things like that, so that people can get excited. Okay, it's going to be a lot of pain now, but once we get that built, this is what it's going to look like. This is what we can do with that building. You've always got to constantly be painting a picture of the future that shows why the journey and the pain is worth it. All right. Another interesting thing that's happening, I'll show you, is I'm getting these ads, and they're showing up more and more and more. And I can skip the ad, but it'll show up again. And this is called BibleGateway.com, where we get the text for this. And for some reason, it's just been really problematic over the last time. What has something to do with my mouse? I wonder. Anyway, all right, so let's go to verse 6. Moses and Aaron went from the assembly to the entrance to the tent of meeting and fell face down, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them. And the Lord said to Moses, take the staff. Here we go again. Take the staff, and you and your brother Aaron gather the assembly together. Speak to that rock before their eyes, and it will pour out its water. You will bring water out of the rock for the community so that they and their livestock can drink. So Moses complains to God, this is where we are. We have no water. The people are angry. We need help. And so Moses and Aaron go to the source of help, which is God. And they lie down prostrate before God and say, God, we can't solve this problem ourselves. I can't make water come out of the sky. I can't make water come out of the ground. The people are thirsty. They need water. They're either going to die or you got to help us. And so they do that. And God says, well, I'll tell you what, take your staff, go, and you will bring water out of the rock. Which, by the way, well, let's finish the story. In verse 9, so Moses took the staff from the Lord's presence, just as he commanded him, and he and Aaron gathered the assembly together in front of the rock, and Moses said to them, listen, you rebels, we must bring you water out of this, listen, you rebels, must we bring you water out of this rock? Then Moses raised his arm and struck the rock twice with his staff. Water gushed out, and the community and the livestock drank. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, because you did not trust in me enough to honor me as holy in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this community into the land that I give them. And these were the waters of Meribah, where the Israelites quarreled with the Lord and where he was proven holy among them. So a couple things here. One is God shows up, which is always amazing when God shows up. And God shows up, he brings water, but God is, and they name the place Meribah, but the problem is that God is angry at the people. And so he tells the people that they will not get into the promised land. And he says it to Moses and Aaron too. But what was Moses supposed to do? I mean, there's no water. Does he not go to God and ask and say, hey, God, we're kind of thirsty here? I mean, we know that God knows that they're thirsty. Would God have provided the water anyway? Would he have brought rain? Was it really as dire of a situation? You know, a lot of times there are times when we worry about things in the future that A, never come to pass. B, if they do come to pass, they're really not all that bad. And C, a little bit of sacrifice is not all that bad. I mean, as long as it doesn't kill you, it's a, what did Nietzsche say? As long as it doesn't, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger, which is so true. I know, I hate quoting Nietzsche, but he was a very, very important German philosopher. The experiences in life do, if they do not kill us, they do make us stronger. I remember there was a number of years ago, there were a number of people dying in their 90s and hundreds. And it seemed like a vast majority of them were Holocaust survivors. And I was commenting to somebody, I just saw, these stories about it. I'm like, I wonder if going through the concentration camp and surviving actually changes your attitude towards every day that you live after that, that you're grateful for. Because I honestly believe that longevity is a function of, not completely, but is a function of being joyful in the present, being comfortable with the present. And also, I think if you put stress like that on your body kind of protects itself and maybe you live longer. There's a process called autophagy where if you starve your body, after about 21 hours, the body starts sending out these things where I'm not even sure what they are, but they look for bad cells and they consume the bad cells. And so putting your body in stress, there are people going to ice baths, and apparently ice baths are incredibly healthy for you. And if I never, ever step foot in an ice bath, I'm willing to take 10 years off my life because that is a lot of pain. I was just in Chicago. But there are, putting your body through stress is probably true with heat too, but putting your body through stress does things to your body that make you, I think, that are healthy for your body. And a lot of times we get a little bit of stress and we freak out. I mean, maybe there was no problem with water here. The people are just complaining about water. But maybe God was providing water all along, but they went a day or two without water, and so they freak out. But one of the things that happens is Moses goes to God, which is the source, and he works with God to bring water forth out of the rock, and it's this great miracle, and the people rejoice in that. The staff gets put in the Ark of the Covenant, but it's but in one respect, it's kind of a lack of faith. If you think about it, it's a lack of faith that even in difficult situations, thinking that God's not there and protecting you, it's an attitude shift. And God looks at Moses and Aaron's heart, and what he sees is that they're beginning to doubt God. I mean, that's basically what it is. They're beginning to doubt God. And God's like, well, if you're going to doubt me in this, I'm not going to show you the promised land. It seems like a horrible punishment, but there's a promised land beyond the promised land. And the promised land beyond the promised land is eternal life with God. And the only way you can get to that promised land is to pass through death. And if the lack of water passes you through death, it's okay because you're going to be with God forever. I mean, that sounds kind of crazy and cruel, but it is true. We all pass through that death, but then passing through, we get to be with Jesus forever. And what cooler thing? And if that's not enough, the other thing is that the veil, the glass that we see through darkly, the dark glass that we see through, the opaque glass kind of opens up, and we get to see God's plan. We get to see Him face to face. We get to experience a presence of God that we've never experienced before. Although, you probably have experienced the presence of God in your life, but we get that all the time, and we're in His presence, and there's nothing that we have to worry about. And He outlays His incredible plan. All the questions we ever answered. I mean, all the things. You just got to get through death to do it. And I do wonder, we got another second here. I do wonder if we'll get to the point where humanity can actually transfer their brain memories into a computer, and maybe even transfer their bodies into a computer or a robot and live forever. And but a couple things. One is you will never live forever. You might extend life a very, very long time, but we know the universe eventually is going to collapse upon itself. So you'll never live forever, or it goes out to where the amount of heat is spread out so much that you can't survive. I mean, basically, you will not live forever. Even if humanity solves the problem of death in the short term, you will not solve the problem of death in the long term. And I wonder if they do solve the problem of short-term death, like it can make people live. Well, in the Old Testament, 1,000 years. If you could live 1,000 years, would you? And I think most people say, yeah, I'd like to live 1,000 years. But what if they say, we're going to let you live indefinitely? Would you do it? Or would you allow yourself at some point to go into the presence of God? And that takes a lot of faith. But I don't think we're going to have to worry about that in my lifetime. But I do think it might be something that future generations might actually have to grapple with. I want to be with God in His presence, but to do that, I got to die. But the world is offering me kind of eternal life. Which do I choose? That's a tough one. It doesn't get much more tough than that. All right. So I think we'll leave it there. That was at the end of verse 13. And Miriam dies. They get water out of the rock. And we'll start 14 on Monday. And we'll get into the next chapter of this, or the next section of this. So let's close with prayer. Gracious God, thank you for this day. Thank you for watching over us. Be with us with all the events of the weekend, and bring us back safely on Monday. In Jesus' name, amen. We look over at the comments. 38 degrees. That is cold. Yes, it will be the first Christmas tea without Polly. Yeah, she kind of transferred the reins of the Christmas tree over to her daughter, Tam, a couple years ago. So this was all kind of planned, but this is the first one where she's actually not present. Yeah. And it will be a different tea, I guarantee you, just without her presence. But it'll still be a blessed way to start the season. All right, so I guess that's it. May God richly bless you today and over the weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. God's blessings. Bye.